Dustin Paschal here with Simon Paschal Says. Today we're going to talk about accommodations in the workplace. And normally you might think I'm going to talk about the Americans with Disabilities Act. And while you do as an employer have to provide reasonable accommodations under the Americans with Disabilities Act, what I'm actually talking about today is Title VII when it comes to religious issues. The law states that when you've got employees who have sincerely held religious beliefs, then you as an employer may have to accommodate those employees from time to time. The most common thing or instance where you see that is if you're in kind of a retail environment where you're open on Sundays. You might have employees with sincerely held religious beliefs who request to have Sunday off of their schedule. That would be an accommodation for a sincerely held religious belief. But it can also arise in the context of various attire for religious holidays or other looks or appearance type of things that would come up with various religions in different aspects. So the thing to always keep in mind as an employer is that if you do have an employee with a sincerely held religious belief and they request either a day off for a holiday or a day off on their schedule for their religious services or to wear a particular type of clothing or something along those lines, then you can't just outright say no. You must examine it and determine if you as the employer can provide an accommodation. Now, I'm not sitting here today to tell you that you must provide it to them. It's the whole, just like the ADA, kind of an interactive discussion to determine, is it an accommodation that you can provide that would not be an undue hardship to you as an employer? Most often in the religious context, in terms of kind of days off and attire and things, it's generally going to be something that you can accommodate, but you at least need to look at it. So it's something for employers to think about. And before we close out, I do want to talk about kind of when you'll see this most often. Why we're talking about this now is because in the coming months with the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccine, you may have some employees that come to you and say, look, because of my religious beliefs, I can't or I won't get the vaccine. And so if you as an employer are mandating that your employees get the vaccine, then you must examine, can you provide an accommodation to any employee that based on sincerely held religious beliefs says they cannot or will not get the vaccine. And that's something you're going to have to look at. So something to keep in mind as we kind of roll into the late spring and early summer and the vaccine becomes more available to the general public. So that's your tip for the day about accommodations and sincerely held religious beliefs. Join us next time on Simon Paschal Says.